Hi everyone, here with a analytic video of F1 and its connections to the Western. This isn't going to be a review. I'm not reviewing anything about the movie. I just like to talk about the ideas that were presented by the movie and its connections with the Western. So I won't be doing review scores. I just feel like it's not something that I'm really interested in reviewing something. I'd rather just look at a movie and analyze it. And that for me has always been a fun element to watching movies is analyzing the connections, analyzing the dialogue, the story beats, and the cinematography and what it's referencing in past movies. Uh, and so yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. And so for this one, I it's going to be about F1. I saw it last weekend, the Brad Pitt, Damson Idris movie that came out, and I loved it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year, and for me, uh, yeah, there's truly some unforgettable moments in this movie, and I put it right up there with Sinners, which still for me is my number one movie of the year, and this might be number two, F1. And what I really appreciated from this movie was the connections with the Hollywood Western. Brad Pitt's character Sonny Hayes, you know, he was the best in his time, the best that never really was. He had like a traumatic accident on the racetrack when he was an IndyCar racer, and that's kind of left him just doing, basic jobs like just racing 24-hour Daytona racetrack, but not really, excelling, not really, reaching the heights that he wanted to. And you see a guy that's kind of like, he's on his last few benders, like he's just living in a van, not really doing anything noteworthy until his buddy, who was a racer with him when he was an IndyCar guy, Ruben, he's in Formula One now, and so he's wants Brad Pitt's character Sonny to join him because he knows that he can do it. He can bring the team, which is Apex, out of a lull. The team hasn't been doing great, and they've been losing races, and so Sonny reluctantly, makes a go for it, and the results are kind of not great. I mean, he's been out of the game for so long to do any type of training for like a high level competition. So the younger guy, JP, played by Damson Idris, just gives him shit all the time. Uh, and you definitely see like a dynamic of the young versus the old. And you see that in a lot of movies, and it plays really well in this movie. And you gotta have to have an emotional foil for Sonny. You gotta have this young kid kind of, being a little shit to him, and it works. And, there's a lot of elements I like about JP, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that, Sonny calls him out on. All you care about is, Instagram followers, merchandise deals. It's about the race. It's about, when you're in that car and you're driving and, everything else doesn't matter. It's all about you and the car. And oh man, I just love that. Like he says that to him, and it really hits home, and it hits hard emotionally. You can use that for everything in life. Just focusing on one thing, and which is to do well in whatever profession you're in. And then with that comes the connections of the Western. You have elements of him like coming in to save a team. It's almost like a sheriff coming in or like a gunfighter. That's what I meant to say. A gunfighter coming in into the town to help them out. And you have that in Sonny. Sonny is kind of like an old school gunfighter, going from town to town, kind of like helping out uh, these teams who are racing in a competition. And yeah, there's a lot of iconography. There's just a lot of stuff with how the film is shot that makes me, draw that comparison to the Western. And, Brad Pitt, I mean, the guy is from like Missouri, so he's good at playing a Midwesterner, and he has that, that voice and everything, and it plays well. Um, Also, this movie, you can't ignore it. It's visually stunning and everything, and it's just a tour de force of cinematography. It's amazing what they were able to pull off with everything when it comes to the cinematography, with the sound. Sound design is a key point of why I love this movie, and yeah, like the point, this is truly like one of the best like movies, and it's a very American movie, just like Joseph Kosinski's Top Gun sequel, Maverick. uh, he's a guy that to me is almost like the modern day new version of uh, Tony Scott, who Ridley Scott's brother, who did the original Top Gun, who did Days of Thunder, which is a racing movie, sports movie. And so, he's almost like the new Tony Scott in the way that he's taken on these franchises, and genres that he did back in the day, Scott. And it's just really nice to see because you don't get a lot of that. You don't get a lot of, sports movie, racer movies. You have, there have been stuff that's been coming out like Ford versus Ferrari, Gran Turismo, based on the video game series. And yeah, but this one, like, to me, is like the ultimate race car movie. Nothing will be able to compete against this one. And yeah, it's all. I mean, for me, like, yeah, I think I saw it on a video of someone mentioning that it has like connections to the Western, and so I wanted to talk about that. And it definitely holds true with that up until the very end, where he meets some people in the desert, and they go and are using like big bulky, like I think they're like ATVs or something, not ATVs, just like Jeep style vehicles, and they're just racing in the desert, and they need a guy that can help them win, and Sonny's the guy. Uh, there's just a lot of great moments in this movie that are truly unforgettable. The soundtrack to this movie is just incredible. You got a lot of EDM, you got rap, you got a little bit of country with Chris Stapleton, but other than that, yeah, this movie is just one of the best movies I've seen this year, and definitely I would recommend this to any of you that loves a good race car slash sports movie, because you're gonna get your money's worth. And I can't wait to get this movie on Blu-ray when it comes out. It's definitely gonna be a movie I'm gonna rewatch hundreds of times. Anyway, just wanted to talk to you guys about that. Have a good one, and yeah, like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. All right, have a good one. Bye.